Lord, I'm so tired. Lord, I am weak. Lord, I am worn. Lord, through the storm, oh, through the night, just guide my feet and hold my hand. Oh, take my hand, precious Lord, won't you lead me home? Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
So I'm going to insist every time I speak that I have an introduction like that from now on. Thank you very much. So Dr. Edwards, President of Northern Caribbean University, Mrs. Campbell, others, students, good afternoon. I'm so very pleased to be with you here today at Northern Caribbean University, and it is my pleasure and honor to address you today. I wanted to start by focusing on the vibrant Canada-Jamaica relationship, a relationship that has been forged over many years, including, as someone mentioned, through the delicious Canadian salted cod. Sorry. Thank you. Is that better? So I was saying, including through the trade of delicious Canadian salted cod for apparently some of your equally delicious rum. A few years ago, when I was thinking of applying to be head of mission, Jamaica jumped out at me because of both the deep friendship between our two countries and our multifaceted relationship rich on such a wide variety of levels. I'm deeply appreciative of the honor of being Canada's High Commissioner to Jamaica. I joined the Canadian Foreign Service just over 20 years ago out of a faith in fundamental human rights, including equal rights and the dignity and worth of all persons, and the need to promote social progress and better standards of life, including through ensuring conditions for justice and peace, through respect for the obligations of international law and its norms. These many years later, these tenets remain essential, just as when they were first enshrined in the United Nations Charter. And today, more than ever, Canada is also deeply committed in a coordinated multilateral approach on the most pressing issues facing the international community today. And this means continuing to work closely with partners in Jamaica. And I was impressed to hear about the values bases that you teach your students here, because they continue to remain very, very relevant. Canada commits to engaging with partners such as Jamaica to protect, reform, and renew the rules-based international order, even as it faces some of the greatest challenges of our time. Canada has a feminist international assistance policy, and we believe that's more important than ever. We remain steadfast in striving for respect for human rights, including fostering inclusion, advancing gender equality, and enabling women's empowerment. I would also like to acknowledge and appreciate the deep commitment of Jamaica to empowering women and girls, and reaffirm that a commitment to gender equality includes engagement and consideration of men and boys as equal partners for a just society. We're incredibly proud to be working with Jamaican, Canadian, and international partners to fight climate change, promote gender equality, and improve the quality of life for the most vulnerable. Canada also works with a variety of organizations to advance Jamaica's Vision 2030. We support various multilateral partners, including the World Bank, the United Nations, and the International Development Bank, to advance projects in climate change and disaster resilience, access to justice and climate-smart financing, small and medium enterprise development, among other things. We provide resources to non-governmental organizations like the World University Service of Canada, the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund, and Emina, who in turn help us deliver projects in sustainable agriculture, climate and environmental mitigation, and the advancement of sexual and reproductive health and rights. Other civil society organizations, such as the Equality Fund in Austria and Oxfam, Canada, help us to advance women's voices in leadership and the reduction of gender-based violence. This year, our Canada Fund for Local Initiative Projects created sustainable impacts for low-income households, advanced human rights for marginalized groups, solidified entrepreneurship opportunities for rural women, and increased the capacity of coffee farmers to participate in the coffee value chain. Our projects also expanded access to mental health resources for frontline workers, engaged the disabled community in sustainable farming techniques, and through a partnership with the National Crime Prevention Fund, enhanced crime reduction and prevention strategies in violence-prone communities. Canada is a leading advocate for international peace and security, and we recognize the ongoing security challenges here in Jamaica and your efforts to resolve them. I applaud the university as well for your efforts, including through your rescue program. And Canada will continue to partner and collaborate with Jamaica's security forces, law enforcement, and other international partners to address the transnational aspects of crime. So for Canada, Jamaica is also a close and enduring bilateral defense partner in the Caribbean and a priority country. A Jamaican was first admitted to Canada's military training and cooperation program in 1965, and since then, over 1,700 students have had sponsored training, and Canada continues to leverage Jamaican Centres of Excellence to deliver capacity building to member countries of Canada's military training and cooperation program in the Americas and beyond. So while we have moved past those days of salt and rum, and I think sugar and molasses, I should add that, we want to do more business with Jamaica, and we look forward to finding more innovative ways to pursue a diversified, modern, and inclusive trade agenda that supports all segments of society. We are strengthening trade relations across a wide range of sectors, from tourism and education to clean tech and to infrastructure. Jamaica is one of Canada's largest economic and merchandise trading partners in the Caribbean, and we are one of your top trading partners. Beyond trade, diplomacy, development, and security cooperation, Canada and Jamaica's strongest ties are cultural and social. We have deep people-to-people ties. Canada was pleased this past year to support 2 authors for the world-renowned Calabash Literary Festival, including Poet Laureate Olive Sr. Canadian Olympian Brendan Rodney, who has Jamaican heritage, recently launched the inaugural Rodney's Life Beyond Sports Foundation at the Canadian official residence. And we're also reminded of the Honourable Louise Bennett Coverley, Miss Lou, who made Canada her home and whose work is a reflection of Jamaica-Canadian connections. We were also honoured this past year to premiere a Canadian-Jamaican film, When Morning Comes, at the GATFest Festival last June. We're also thankful for the workers of the Seasonal Agricultural Program. Their work is important for both Canada and Jamaica, and we are strongly committed to ensuring that their rights are respected and that they are treated fairly and well. The 300,000-strong Jamaican diaspora in Canada is strong and vibrant, and we also have an enriching community of dual citizens living here in Jamaica. So moving a little bit on to education, as you know, every year thousands of Jamaican students head to Canada, and we all know that Canadians are extremely fond of Jamaica's beautiful beaches, especially during the long, cold Canadian winter. I was going to talk a lot about why it's great to come study in Canada, but I realized because the university has been such an enthusiastic participant in the ELAP program that I'm already preaching to the choir, so to speak. But I do want to encourage students to consider Canada for part of their studies. There's a lot to offer. It's not always cold. I think the pictures, maybe this was the worst part of winter, but certainly the values that you have at this university you'll find reflected in other universities in Canada. Just finally, and I always like to have a captive student audience, I think. Some of the values that we talk about as a government, but also that I hold dear when I do my work, is things that I want to sort of reiterate, which I'm sure you hear from your professors and the school and your parents and your families. Just a reminder that hope, resilience, kindness, respect, and generosity are values to hold dear and to continue with. A reminder as well of the importance of hard work. I mean, you're all at university. It doesn't end when you graduate. You'll have to keep on working hard. But also a reminder that the future is yours to make of it what you will. So wishing everybody here the best of luck with your futures, your studies. I hope that they continue to have some links to Canada. And thank you very much again for receiving me and receiving me so warmly. Thank you.
We're going to ask Ambassador to not run off just yet. We invite forward two young ladies who are an example of what our exchange and scholarship does. Presenting to Her Excellency Emina Tudakovic is a token of our gratitude for your being with us today. During Homecoming 2023, our Amelia Garcia, NCU alumna and one of our students from the first batch of students to go to Canada in 2019 under the Emerging Leaders of the Americas program for a semester abroad at Brandon University in Brandon, Manitoba, Canada. And she also holds a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies from NCU. With her is Druselle. Druselle Mills is a current undergraduate student who is a recipient of the President's Scholarship under the Rescue Program, restoring every student's confidence using education. This is what we do at NCU. Ambassador, welcome. Joining us now as we Joining us now to introduce our second presenter for the afternoon is Ms. Pamela Johnson, alumna and nurse.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The privilege is mine this evening to introduce to all of you one of our most prestigious students. His credentials qualify him to be a celebrity. So this evening we're going to celebrate him for all the great things that he has achieved, both educationally and in the fields abroad. Mr. Delapenha Richard Delapenha has worked in the Jamaica media landscape for almost 20 years and in various functional capacities. And this includes producer, director, educator, and manager. He seemed to be one qualified for Hollywood. He worked at CVM Television for a cumulative years of 10 years, and while there, he was instrumental in transforming CVM TV from analog to high definition, making it the first free-to-air broadcasting house to go HD in Jamaica, and this high definition. Mr. Delapenha was also production manager at Northern Caribbean University, this noble institution, where he was influential in the formation of the NCU Media Group, which included the NCU FM stations. Mr. Delapenha holds a master's degree in telecommunication policy and technology management from the University of the West Indies and a bachelor's degree in mass communication from Northern Caribbean University, where he also worked as a lecturer. A past student of Manchester High School, he loves photography, cinematography, and traditionally enjoys playing cricket, football, dominoes, table tennis, and badminton. He sits on the Manchester High School board and also the Belfield High School boards. Richard is a 2022 recipient of the Governor General's Award for Excellence. Currently, the Public Relations and Marketing Coordinator for the NIDS project, Richard is a very passionate individual who genuinely wants to see his country improve tremendously. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Delapenha.
Good afternoon to the great beacon on the hill. No, man, let's go again. Good afternoon to the great beacon on the hill. Thank you very much, Miss Johnson, for that introduction. Let me just express what joy it is to be a speaker here today at this homecoming ceremony this week. As an alumnus of this noble institution, I have so many experiences that I could have shared with you today if time would allow. The long lines that I would have to join to get to register for classes. I'm sure you don't have that again. The numerous chapel sessions that we would have that would instill the value of Christian life. I'm sure you still do have that. The numerous times that I would have to walk with speaker boxes from the media center to chapel to set up in here so that everybody could hear. I know you don't have that again because you have some wonderful speaker boxes installed. The time when I did not have money in my account so that I could not do exams. And where's Mr. Murray? I don't see him. But he was the finance director at the time. And thank God I would have, within this room, gotten a scholarship that would have allowed me to do my exams. The time when at a commencement service, the speaker gave the following words that transformed my life to this day. And I'm going to say it so that it probably can impart some value on your life. And it is, success is never final. Failure is never failed. Courage is vital. Success is never final. Failure is never failed. Courage is vital. And I want you to remember those words. If it is the last thing or the only thing that you could remember out of this session. But what time can allow and permit me today to talk to you about is a system called the National Identification System called NIDS. Anybody ever heard about it? NIDS? You've heard about it? You've heard some bad things about it, right? You heard that it is a mark of the beast? You heard that it's going to be a chip that is going to be inserted in you? You heard all the negatives about this ID that the government plans to roll out. And so today I am here to clear up a lot of the misinformation that you may have. And so I want you to look to the screen where some of the information will be projected. So what is this NIDS that we're talking about? It stands for the National Identification System. And simply put, it is technology with resources, policies, and softwares combined together to create an identification process or an identification system. So basically, it's an information system storing personal information about individuals that will be used to identify them where needs be, right? So essentially, what it is an ID card. And so, why is it that the government wants to roll out a new ID card? I'm sure that is the first thing that you want to ask yourselves. And the reality is that we have a number of functional IDs, such as a passport. And the passport is for what? Traveling. And we have the TRN. What is the TRN for? Tax related. It's a unique identifier. It's a unique number associated with each Jamaican for tax related matters. Right? You have the voter's ID. And this is where a lot of persons refer to it as the national ID. But we do not have a national ID card. We have a voter's ID card. All right? And I'm going to show you why is it that it's not a national ID card. And we have a school ID. Everybody in here would have their school IDs, right? But can your school ID be used at other institutions? No. It's only within the confines of this geographic location. Then we have the driver's license. What is that for? Driving. So what you find is that a lot of these identity documents that we have in Jamaica, they serve a particular purpose. And one, you have to be 18 years and older to get some of these ID cards. So for example, the voter's ID, you have to be 18 years and older to register for a voter's ID. It is free, but you have to be 18 years and older. The passport, it's a constitutional right, but it comes with a cost. Then you have your school ID. Of course, you have to be enrolled in the institution to get that ID card. The driver's license, again, you have to be 18 years and older to get the driver's license, and it also comes at a cost. And the TRN, it's just a random 9-digit number, and it does not have a photograph or any biometrics linked to that individual. So what that creates, it's a need for an ID card that is one, free, and two, an ID card that is for everyone. And so the government plans to roll out this national ID card under a NIDS system, a national identification system. And this national identification system, it will be free from birth. So you will be able to register your child from birth. And you will get a national ID card along with a national number, national identification number. And the use of minimum biometrics is what will be used or taken from you when you go to enroll. And the minimum biometrics that we're talking about here, we want a photograph of you, right? We want your fingerprints, and we want a manual signature. So we don't want your DNA. We don't want your blood type. It is not a chip that is going to be inserted in you, and it is not the mark of the beast, right? So that is what NIDS is all about. And most importantly, it is a voluntary ID. It is not a mandatory ID. It's a voluntary identification system. And we want to encourage Jamaicans to be a part of this system once we start to roll out, and we can look at the benefits in a few minutes from now. So you'll get a number and you'll get an ID card, and we're going to show you what that ID card looks like. Now, there will be an authority that will be set up to distribute and issue these ID cards. And this authority is called the National Identification and Registration Authority, the NIRA. And the NIRA will have two major functions. They will carry out the functions that RGD currently do, right? And they will now have another function, which is identity management, which is the distribution of this ID card. So that is what NIRA will do. So who is it that can enroll for this ID? Citizens of Jamaica can enroll, and ordinary residents of Jamaica can enroll for this ID once we start the rolling out process. So once you're living in Jamaica 6 months and over, you'll be considered an ordinary resident. And if you're born in Jamaica, you're considered naturally a citizen. So you will be able to enroll for this ID card. The basic information that we want when you go to register, we want your full name, we want your date of birth, your country of birth, your place of birth, your parents' name, whether the individual is male or female, and under the Constitution of Jamaica, it only recognizes male or female. So NIDS will not choose anyone's gender. Okay? So whether the individual is male or female, principal place of residence, other places of residence, and other information that we will collect are your nationality, period of residence in Jamaica, your marital status, your name of your spouse if you are married, and your occupation. And of course, we spoke about the biometrics that we need. We want a picture of you, a facial image, we want your fingerprints, and we want a manual signature. So we don't want any DNA, we don't want any blood type, we don't want, it's not a chip that we're going to put in you, it's just a simple ID card. All right? And other information where applicable, we want your birth entry number. That number is on your birth certificate, your driver's license number if you have one, your passport number if you have one, your national insurance number if you have one, and your path number if you have one. So essentially what we're trying to do is to reference all your existing IDs into one. So instead of walking around with your TRN card, your NIS card, your path card, all of these cards, it will be referenced to this one ID, and that will be sufficient to verify your identity. And we brought a version of what the ID card will look like today to show you. Clearly, it's not going to be this big, so you're not going to walk around with this big ID card. It's going to be a pocket-sized ID card, and you'll notice on the front of the card, it has coat of arms, a flag, and it does say National Identification Card. National Identification Card. And your national identification number will be on the card, on the front of the card, if you can come forward somewhere. Your national identification number will be on the front of the card, and this number is the same number as your TRN. So if you already have a TRN number, that is the number that will be there. If you don't have a TRN number, that's fine. A national identification number will be issued to you. Right? Your name, your surname, other given names, your nationality. Now remember, you could have a non-Jamaican applying for this ID card once they are a resident of Jamaica. Date of birth, your signature, and a picture of you will be on the front of the ID card. On the back of the ID card, you will have your status, whether you're a C, citizen, or resident. If you're a justice of the peace, any JPs in here? No JPs in here. You will have CJP. If you have a disability, the wheelchair symbol is an optional symbol if you choose. We could put it on the back of the ID card if you choose. Your sex, male or female, M or F. Date the card was issued. Date the card expires. The card will expire every 5 years for minors and every 10 years for adults. Okay? Place the ID card or parish of enrollment or place of enrollment, wherever you got the ID card, that will be on the back of the ID card. So we will be setting up about 24 enrollment sites right across the island. And already we have started to roll out some of the enrollment centers in Kingston, and we're going to be rolling out island-wide over the next year and next year and a half. Your driver's license information will be on the back of the ID card, and whatever basic information, your passport number will be on the back of the card. So essentially, as I said earlier, what this ID seeks to do is to reference or merge all your existing IDs into one. And thereby it reduces the need for you to walk around with your other ID cards when asked to give or verify your identity. So back to the PowerPoint. So we spoke about the ID card, we spoke about the renewal period of 5 years for minors and every 10 years for adults. So what is it that you will be able to do with your ID card? You'll be able to use your ID card anywhere where your identity is needed to be verified. And so we are going to be setting up a process in which that can happen. And I'm going to show you a diagram on screen so you can understand what that process will look like. So this person, her name is Ashley, and Ashley got an ID card, our NIDS ID card. So Ashley decided to go to a financial institution. And that financial institution, we're calling it a third party. And this third party is in green. So she goes to this financial institution, she presents her ID card to the financial institution, and the financial institution asks her for permission to verify her identity with the authority. She will then, or the institution, the third party, will then send an electronic verification request to the authority. And remember, the authority here is called the what? The National Identification and Registration Authority. The authority will verify Ashley's identity and send back a match or a mismatch response. And all of this will happen in a matter of seconds. So we just broke down the process so that you can understand. And the important thing here is that you will be notified once that process is completed. So just like when you're making a purchase using your Visa debit card, you get a notification on whether it's SMS or through your email. It will be a similar process. Once you use your identification card and your identity is established or verified, you will also be notified. So what are some of the benefits of this ID? And I am sure this is where you really want to know, why is it I need this ID when it starts? The first benefit is that it is free. So when you look at the driver's license, that comes at a cost. Passport comes at a cost. With this ID card, it is free. There's no cost to register for this ID card. Second benefit is that it is for everyone. So for the first time in Jamaica, you don't have to be 18 years and older to get an issued identification card from the state. You will now have an ID card that you can get even from your child, coming all the way up. Third benefit, transparency in identity verification. You must give consent every time your identity needs to be verified. And you will also get notifications once your identity has also been verified. You'll also see that it will simplify a lot of bureaucracy in Jamaica. So currently, everybody in here knows who a justice of the peace is, right? Now, JPs, a lot of times, they are consumed with just the function of verifying persons' identities. In the future, once you have this national ID card, the function or the need to get a JP to be constantly verifying you becomes zero, nil. So it reduces that function of a JP. And the JP can now start looking at other functions and other duties that they have, right? Easier access to your benefit. A lot of pensioners, they have to sign up every 3 months for what we call life certificates. Life certificates. And it can be a tedious process, right? A lot of pensioners, some of them, they're at home, they don't have anybody to help them. And as a result of that, just to get their pension from government, it's a tedious process. With this national ID card, when they have this national ID card, in the future, the process of needing to go through and get a life certificate every 3 months, it's totally zero, nil. They don't have to do that again. Another major benefit. Another major benefit, and this is for a lot of young people who use the digital services or use the computer a lot or the email, internet. Digital signature. We will all get a digital signature that we can utilize to sign documents electronically. It's a major benefit also. So instead of printing off documents, you can now sign documents electronically using your national ID card. Financial services, a lot of times when you go to the banks currently, the banks are asking you for more than one ID or a long list of requirements just to open a bank account. With this ID card, this is another major benefit. With this ID card, the one ID will be sufficient to start the process to opening a bank account. So, and here's the next thing. Once you show the third party your ID card, your NIDS ID card, they cannot, under the law, ask you for any other ID. So they can't ask you for a secondary ID to accompany this national ID card. And that's another major benefit of this ID card. So Those are some of the major benefits of this ID system. And I know that once more and more persons sign up in the future for this ID card under the system, the country on a whole will have a number of benefits. You will see where there is greater efficiency within our country and a greater efficiency in terms of how we grant access and also benefits to citizens of Jamaica. So, it's very hot up here. The lights are pelting, but outside is raining. And I know that you would have now have a better understanding of what this national ID card is all about. I hope that in the future, once it starts to roll out, that NCU will be one of those top institutions that will want for their institution and persons within the confines of this institution to sign up for this ID card. So thank you very much for having us here today. Thank you very much for having us within this week. And we look forward to everyone in this room signing up for this national ID card in the future. May God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Richard. And of course, I was very much here when Richard was a student. And remember the many speaker boxes Richard used to have to put on his head and back to walk down the hill to the chapel, to the gymnatorium before we had our other speaker systems in. Thank you so much. It is my task at this time to move the vote of thanks. And I wish to say special thanks to the Homecoming Planning Committee, to Mr. Danita Murray, who is in his very many hats. One of the hats he wears is that of Director of Alumni Relations and Alumni Matters. Thanks to the Homecoming Planning Committee for facilitating this Thursday's chapel session dubbed Community Mingle and Learning Presentations. Have you learned anything today? And we wish to also acknowledge the theme under which it has been held, Together Triumphantly, Rekindling the NCU Spirit. As we say thanks also to our main presenters, Ambassador thanks to our main presenters, Her Excellency Emina Tudakovic, High Commissioner of Canada to Jamaica, Mr. Richard Delapenha, National Identification Systems NIDS Public Relations and Marketing Coordinator. Special thanks to, and she shall come shortly, Dr. Marjorie Buckley, Dean of the College of Business and Management, who shall be doing the closing prayer momentarily. Thanks also to Ms. Pamela Johnson, alumna and nurse. As we see a merger of the new graduates and or graduates of the past, we wish to also thank Mr. Claude Edwards, international singing evangelist, who sang for us, Precious Lord, Take My Hand, and we were indeed blessed. Thanks to our president, Dr. Lincoln Edwards, for introducing our first speaker, and to Mr. Gary Francis for facilitating the prayer. Mr. Francis is the Vice President of Finance and other matters here at NCU. Special thanks to Mr. Lawrence Johnson, General Manager for the University Business Services, for so ably welcoming us. And we will never forget to thank the media team that facilitate these live broadcasts as we do our chapel sessions, and we say welcome and thank you for joining us, to all those on YouTube and all the other platforms on which this session has been held. Thank you also to Amelia Garcia, our NCU graduate and also graduate student, and Druselle Mills for handing over the gift to the ambassador. At this time, we now say thank you so much as we hand over to Dr. Marjorie Buckley, Dean of the College of Business and Management, to move the closing prayer. Thereafter, we will stand for the alma mater.
Shall we stand for the closing prayer? Sovereign God, we honor your name. We thank you for the blessings we have received at your hands today. In a special way, we thank you for the visit of the team from the Canadian High Commission. Thank you for the partnerships that have been forged, and we pray, God, that it will grow from strength to strength. We thank you for the presentations we have listened to this afternoon. Thank you for our alumni as it is homecoming week. We thank you for their contribution to the building of this great institution. So, Lord, we just honor your name and thank you for your many, many blessings, too numerous to enumerate. So as we go from this place now, we ask that you would dismiss us with your blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord cause his face to shine upon you, to be gracious unto you, and grant you his peace. Amen.